welcome to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
And today's episode, we're going to be talking about the UEFA European Championship. Soccer. UEFA, yeah. UEFA.
Yes.
UEFA. That's the governing body.
What does it mean?
I don't know exactly what it means. It's like Football Association United Europe or something.
Yeah, we're big soccer fans. As you
Yes, I was when I was 10.
Yeah.
Which is 25 years ago now.
Yeah, and you just went off it.
I went off it, but I went off it after World Cup 98. After that, it was over.
I'm done with this.
I'm done with this. Never again. Never see this show again. That's what I was like. Never see this show.
Why is that, though?
I don't know. I guess I just grew out of it.
Yeah.
But I remember.
And now you're growing back into it.
I don't know what's happening to me. I'm going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this in the next episode, actually, about how I'm refusing to adopt American/Texan ways of life.
Oh, yeah.
And, that I guess by doing that, I'm just getting more into stuff that I was into as a kid.
You're becoming more British. Living in America is causing you to become more British.
Yes, and I'm turning Texas British along with me.
What?
You mean what? You don't even know.
What?
You don't even know. It's called and we're probably going to do an episode of that, the Anglo Creep.
You're an Anglo Creep.
You're an Anglo Creep.
But yeah, so the last several days, I don't know, like a week. The last week or so.
The last week or so, you've really kicked up the soccer.
We've been watching some soccer games. I don't mind soccer. I don't mind sports in general. I'm just not like
sports ball.
I'm just not like a diehard fan, but I can get into pretty much anything except for football, American football. I just can't. The whistle blowing. I find it really annoying. And then just everybody's crashing into each other.
I'm reserving my commentary for that for the next episode, because that's one of the things I just can't get into.
Yeah.
Sports in general, as I said, I went off.
I love baseball.
I used to play it in school, not baseball, but football and rugby.
Yeah.
Soccer and rugby.
I like about soccer that it's quite fast-paced. Like, there's no real...
sometimes there is. One of the team has possession, they're just kicking it to each other, and it's just like... Oh,
like the end of the last
game
that
you're just playing out time there, mate.
Yeah,
and I think
there
is. I think there is a rule for it.
Mm.
If you're keeping possession too long, you're just like, come on.
Yeah.
But it's up to the other team. Just get possession. Just get in with an aggressive tackle. You know?
Why? I mean, what is a tackle in soccer?
It's just, kicking the ball away from the guy, or just getting in there,
It's not the same thing as like actually.
It's not. No, it's not like a rugby tackle or an
Yeah.
American football tackle where you grab them, you push them to the ground and stuff and pile on them. You've just got. In soccer, if you don't know, you're only really allowed to use your feet. It's football.
Unless you're the goalie.
I mean,
I think most Americans know that. I mean, we played soccer in PE.
Yeah, it's more of like, oh yeah, you play it as a really small child over here, and then you, you just grow out of it, I guess, But in Britain, well, England especially, it's the national sport, it's the national game, the beautiful game.
Yeah, so this Euro is going on right now.
It's a European Championship. Yeah, we're down to the final 4 teams. It's the semi-finals this week. So it'll be Italy versus Spain, and whoever wins that will be going on to the final, and Denmark versus England. Because we watched the England versus Ukraine game, and it was a landslide victory for England, really,
If you guys have absolutely no interest in sports or soccer particularly...
we're going to bore you for the next 25 minutes.
So I find it interesting, and I don't know, what you have planned to specifically talk about in this podcast. I was just talking
about the history of it.
Okay. What I want to talk about, though, what I aim to talk about, is just how big this is, like, culturally in Britain.
Oh, it's massive.
Because I think probably a lot of people who are not even maybe that into football get into this, you know, especially...
And the World Cup.
Yeah.
The World Cup is even bigger than this. I mean, football in general is huge in Britain, you know. It's like, even when there's not a major tournament like the Euros or World Cup going on, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the local teams, you know, the British teams like West Ham, Aston Villa, Manchester United, Chelsea, all them, Tottenham, you know, they're all like, you know, people support them and they're still obsessed with them and they're still, you know, when the season's going on, you know.
Yeah.
I was into, you know, I'm probably going to alienate a lot of British listeners now by saying I was a Manchester United fan when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And they were the popular team at that.
Is that who David Beckham played for?
Yeah, he played, everyone played. Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, you know, pretty much every huge player in the game today played for Manchester United at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Or Liverpool, you know, that was another one. Or Arsenal.
Yeah. Why are they like the?
They're like the top 6.
I'm going to equate this to baseball now because that's what I know in America. They're like the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
Let's say,
actually,
or the Red Sox.
I think someone who owns the Boston Red Sox actually owns the same people who own the Boston Red Sox baseball team.
Yeah.
Own. Who is it? It's someone. It's like Liverpool or something. I think it's Liverpool.
Oh yeah.
They own they own that team, and it's just like
so weird.
that's a bit crazy, you know. It's just like, oh yeah, we're into sports, you know. It doesn't matter what kind of game we're gonna own that club because they're huge.
We're into owning the best clubs, basically.
It's because that's the way it's going, really. Football, you know, sports teams. It's going like big studios, you know. Like these big studios are just buying up these smaller ones that have, you know, going out of business because they've got money troubles. Yeah. And they're just pumping money into them.
You're talking about studios meaning movies.
Movies, yeah. MGM and all that, you know, have been bought by Amazon and all this. You know, like Amazon could probably easily purchase a football club. Yeah. Or even make one. Yeah. The Amazon Football Club.
Oh, God.
You know?
Please don't give them any ideas.
Oh, someone's sitting around in an HQ somewhere thinking up this stuff. Yeah. And they're getting paid big bucks to do it, you know?
Yeah.
But yet...
So what's the difference between the World Cup and the one that's going on right now?
Well, European Championships just mainly involve all the European countries.
Okay.
The ones who qualified, at least, anyway. I think it's when it started off in 1958... the 1960 tournament just had 4 teams, and it was hosted by France. You know, you have a nation that hosts the championships, like the World Cup.
Like the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hosted by France and included France, obviously, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, and the Soviet Union. You know, 3 of those countries don't exist anymore. Well, the Soviet Union is now Russia, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
But, and the winners were the Soviet Union. And, you know, there was just 4 teams back then. Yeah. So it was just them playing against each other. Then it gradually got to 8 teams and then 16, and then it was like 24, I think, the final one. And then it's just kind of like one of those process of eliminations. Everyone was in it. Yeah. To whittle it down, you know, and it just became this huge thing. My first experience with it was Euro 96. That was when it, and that's the last time England actually were like major players in the tournament, because they got to the semi-finals. Yeah. And they had the old rivalry with Germany. And it went to a penalty shootout. Yeah. And the current manager of England, Gareth Southgate, missed his penalty.
Oh yeah, he was on the team.
He was on the England team, yeah. Yeah. So it went to a penalty shootout, and that's basically when they have a spot kick at the goal with just the goalie there, and you know everyone's pretty much going to score, you know. Yeah. 'Cause, you know, you're going to hit the back of the net, you know. Yeah. But Gareth Southgate, it was like a draw, so they went to penalty shootout, and it was like whoever missed a penalty, the next one, the team goes up and hits, you know, scores, they've won, you know. Southgate missed his, well, that the keeper saved it.
Yeah.
And then Germany scored and went through to the final. And everybody was just like, oh, because that was like, oh, it's coming home, football's coming home.
Yes.
And it's back now.
Yeah.
Because we're in the semi-final again,
Yeah.
And Southgate's led us there, and everybody's like, oh, this is it. This is Southgate's redemption,
I was going to say, for our American followers, listeners, who follow any British person, or
if you follow any British person, like Rod Beckett or any comedian or anyone who's remotely interested in England, oh, I'm in England right now, and they keep chanting, it's coming home. Or
Lad Bible even posted something.
Yeah.
Is it coming home?
Is it coming home? It's coming home. That's a song that came out in 96. It was by the Lightning Seeds with two comedians who were very into football. I used to watch their show, actually, because they had this fantasy football league show, David Baddiel and Frank Skinner.
Yeah.
And you've seen Frank Skinner.
Yeah.
On TV, but they were like a comedy duo and they were really into football, and they had this show, which was just basically a fantasy football league show, but it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
They recorded this song, Three Lions, with the band, the Lightning Seeds, who were pretty big at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard the song Sugar Coated Iceberg? They were big in the 90s. No. they were kind of they weren't as big as Oasis and
Sugar Coated Iceberg.
Yeah. Sugar Coated Iceberg tastes so sweet.
Oh my god, get out.
It was and they had more songs, but this one they recorded this one, and it was it had this refrain, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home, because England were in the semi-finals, and it was like a really good, and they were hosting the tournament too.
Oh yeah.
And there was references to the 66 World Cup. It'd been 30 years since England had won the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And, we never, and, everybody was like, oh, yeah, we're going to do really well in France 98.
Yeah, that's a really good movie, by the way, you guys. Even if you're not really a football fan, if you like sort of like period films, check out 66. I think it came out in like
2006.
The early 2000s.
So about 40 years since England won against West Germany 4-2. I mean, that was England couldn't have done any better at that point. That was peak England right there.
Because the Euro and the World Cup both only happen like every 4 years.
Every 4 years,
like the Olympics,
like
right?
the Olympics.
So it's not something that happens every year. So you can understand why people would be like extra excited about it, because it's like
I'm not into football anymore. I don't follow like the league.
I think you are.
No, I mean I just have these memories. It's like I whack on the Euros and I see Steve McManaman, doing the pundit, and I'm just like, oh, he was I remember him as a player, and they'll have Alan Shearer or something, and I'm like, oh god, these people are just punditing now, I
mean, I can appreciate, like, you turn it on and
people.
watch, and it's quite a good game. Like, we watched the game England versus Ukraine on this past Saturday,
yeah.
And it was very impressive. I thought it was like, England was right on top of those guys. They just did not give them a chance.
England kind of demolished Ukraine, yeah. I mean, Ukraine did well to get that far in the tournament. But,
and I'm one of these people watching a game like that where I'm like, I don't really care who wins.
Well, yeah, you don't have any kind of horse in the race.
But I don't want to see anybody like get smashed. You know what I mean? So I'm like, come on, Ukraine, get in there, get at least one goal. At the end of the day, and
there's a lot of there's probably by the third goal, it was clear that England were winning.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a case of like,
I mean, football games don't really. They're not really high scoring games usually, are they?
Sometimes they can be.
Oh, really?
I've seen like
the only
Manchester
ones I've ever
United
seen are like
thrash people by like 7-0, and
the only ones I've ever seen are like 0-0, like 1-0, 2-1 or something.
I mean, that's when it's been a good game of football. Then
I
think because there's been some good plays, and I'm sounding like a pundit now, and I'm like, I have no idea. But it's like, it's funny when you watch those kind of things, because you see the pundits on, and they're just like, yeah, so this guy scored 3 goals in the first half, and this is how he did it. And it's like, yeah, we watched it, you know, we know how he did it. It's like, oh, well, yeah, he just did this. And he
what
went
I
with
like
that,
about
and
soccer is that it's 90 minutes and it's done. You know, the clock is counting. It counts up, though, doesn't it? It doesn't count down. It goes up.
It
right?
goes up, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 90 minutes. And that allows for like some stoppage time, which is like extra time.
There's hardly any commercials. There's hardly any whistle blows and like the players just standing around on the sides of the field strategizing or any kind of like, it's just constant, you know, back and forth, back and forth.
Rugby's a little slower.
And I feel like I think that the players are quite impressive because you have to be in really good shape to run back and forth that size of field for 90 minutes, you know?
When I was playing, as a kid, it was so tiring playing football.
Well, your field wasn't anywhere near the size of their field.
Nowhere near, but sometimes we did get to play on, like, a football-sized pitch.
Yeah.
You know, but we weren't playing with a full field, you know, we'd like, you know, they'd move the goals a little bit inward, you know, so we didn't have to run so much.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh my God, yeah, it was like constant running, constant like, you know, sometimes of course you just walk in and like, but if the ball comes to you, then everyone's like, okay, yeah, you know, you're just like, oh, I've got the ball. What do I do with it? What do I do?
Yeah.
You know, do I make a play? But I was usually just passing and I was a pretty good defender and I was a pretty good midfielder.
And I always feel really bad for the goalie because it feels like everybody's going, oh, the goalie sucks, you know, like the Ukraine goalie kept letting goals get past him,
that
obviously.
Poor guy.
But then when
one
you
of
think
them
about
right through his legs too.
When you think about it, it's like, no, if the guys on his team were doing their job, they wouldn't even let the ball get to the goal. You know what I mean? Like
the thing is, right, Ukraine's defense was terrible.
Yeah.
This is the post-match analysis here, you know. Ukraine's defense was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why, you know, like...
Their offense was not particularly great either.
Their offense was terrible too. I mean, there was a lot of chances were created, but they just they weren't there.
Mm.
And it's funny because once they did have a chance... Ukraine, and the England goalie had to come out and kick it, you know, and he sliced it, and it was like you know, he sliced it, but of course Ukraine were just terrible anyway. They didn't take advantage of that chance, but you could see the England goalkeeper shouting at his defense, going, "Yeah, you shouldn't have let that through.
Yeah,
what were you doing?" You know, it's like the goalkeeper's like, you know, I should have pretty much nothing to do this whole match instead of watch you
I should
win.
be able to lay here and take a nap. Like, you shouldn't even let the ball get over here to me. Yeah.
And it's good. And England started closing them down. You know, they were really good on the closing.
So
they really worked as a good team, you know.
Now England plays, let's see.
Denmark.
We're recording this on Monday. They play on Wednesday. Yeah. So this will go out on Tuesday. So they play tomorrow.
Italy and Spain are playing today. Yeah. On Tuesday, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll decide who goes through. And my money's on Spain.
And will that be... So whoever wins of those two will play each other? Whoever wins of those two games? Both games are going to be in London.
Yeah, they're going to be in Wembley.
Yeah.
The final is going to be probably at Wembley too, I think.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm not sure about that, but I think so, because, you know, they'll be there.
Mm.
So whoever wins Italy versus Spain will be in the final, then England versus Denmark, whoever wins that. You know, so say like Spain defeat Italy, it'll be England and Spain.
This is it then. These are the last 4 teams that are...
Yeah, this is the last 4 teams. This is the semi-finals. There's a lot riding on this.
Oh, okay.
So this is going to be a nail-biting game for England because they've never got past the semi-finals in the Euro.
And Italy and Spain are both quite good teams, aren't they?
Italy and Spain are pretty good teams.
So even if England wins against Denmark, they're going to have their...
Denmark's a bloody good team too, actually. You know, they've done really well in this tournament.
This coming from a non-football fan.
I don't know any of the players' names. I just like look at stuff and I just, you know, I'm just a pundit.
I think it's so fun, though, how Britain really gets super into it. I mean, we don't really have anything.
What team do you support,
Except for when, like, the U.S. plays in the World Cup. Maybe some people care, but it's nowhere near the same thing.
Was it the last World Cup? The USA did rather well, because usually they're thought of as like they don't really get... They're like Wales. Like, Wales were knocked out in the like early stages of the tournament of Euro 96. They're not known for their footballing prowess.
Yeah.
I think in Euro 2016 they got to the semi-finals.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh wow, they got to the semi-finals but were knocked out. But Wales is a rugby playing nation, so, and it's like America's not a soccer playing nation, so
I really think, I say this in this podcast all the time, but I really think that the internet is bringing the world together.
For the World Cup.
You know what I mean? Well, no, I think that it's making Americans, let's say, more interested in sports
international sports,
in sports that other countries are playing. I think maybe it's worked the other way too, because
baseball
the
NFL.
NFL's playing in Britain. They're having games or something over in Britain, aren't they? So
they can easily convert rugby stadiums to the NFL, format.
So I really think it's bringing the world together. Like, everybody's seeing what their online friends, their social media friends are talking about, and they want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, it's going, we need a soccer team here. And speaking of that, we just got a team in Austin.
Yeah, Austin FC finally, and they've built a stadium for them, and
it's major.
I think they won their first match, didn't they?
It's our first major league sports team of any type.
The thing is,
Austin.
right, like with the European Championships and everything, you could have like a Mexico versus Canada, kind of like America's Cup.
Yeah.
For soccer.
It could be the whole North and South America.
Yeah, I mean, good luck against Brazil. But it's like Argentina aren't so bad either, I guess. But even just states, you could have a state competition.
Oh, well, I think they do.
What, a Texas versus Florida?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
soccer?
that's what the Major League... I think that's what it is,
No, Major League is Austin.
Oh, well, it's cities
against
against cities, yeah.
Cities
but I
against
mean,
cities, yeah.
Sort of the same thing. I mean, how many states have more than one soccer team, More than one professional soccer team, I don't know.
There's got to be, like, if Austin have one, there's got to be, like, a Dallas FC.
I have no idea. I have absolutely
a Dallas or
no
a Houston
idea.
or a San Antonio even, it's
I
like
mean,
all the major cities and stuff, and it's just like if you could get like a state team to play another state, that would be like,
Yeah. But going back to Britain, we're always talking about how America's this big patriotic country and stuff, and Britain's not so really. It really becomes a big patriotic country when the soccer is going, doesn't it? Like,
oh, hugely. Yes,
they're all like, flying
England,
flags,
England,
wearing,
and it's like
someone in the stadium had on a crown. I didn't know what, like a Henry VIII style crown. Yeah.
Well, no, it's like a friend of ours on Instagram was in the square in Rome, because England played Ukraine in Rome.
Yeah.
In a stadium in Rome, the Olimpico Stadium. And so they set up in the squares in Rome big, like,
screens.
Yeah, giant screens to watch the game.
Yeah.
And the England fans who couldn't go to the stadium but had come into, thing, were all dressed like Roman soldiers.
Oh, yes.
And they had their wrapped in England flags. And, and it's just like, they're there to have a beer. They were just drinking beers with the Roman helmets and everything, the brush helmets.
I noticed how empty the stadium was, and you and I were both kind of wondering, was that COVID? Like, people just weren't traveling. I mean, it had to have been, because otherwise it would have been packed, I guess. But, so I don't know if the fans that were in the audience were, like, British expats /
Italian fans who were like,
fans.
England, or they could have been for Ukraine too.
Yeah. But that was interesting. But any kind of pictures on social media or just articles or videos or anything, it's just like Britain just absolutely goes crazy. You know, there was that video they showed. It was like a packed out pub, I guess, and the first point that they scored,
4 minutes,
everybody went crazy, like they just won the whole thing. You know, it's like, oh my god.
No, I've been in the pub
when
there's a game on, you know, like, and it's like, it's not just even soccer, it's rugby, you know.
If
Wales is playing New Zealand,
or
the All Blacks as they call them, or, you know, Wales is playing anyone, Wales is versus England, and it's on in the, you know, they're there and someone goes for a try, the whole place erupts, you know.
Yeah. I think it's quite fun to, like, get behind your country, you know. It's like you feel closer with the other people, you know, the other citizens of your country. I think the last,
you know, just going back to the USA now with their soccer team, I think the US women's won the World Cup because they have a women's tournament, and I think they won the World Cup. Nobody cared, though. I
think so, yeah. No, and they got in trouble, didn't they, for celebrating too much or something like that.
So, you're celebrating too much about winning.
Yeah, it was distasteful.
I can tell you right now how many people would get on board with it if USA won the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know?
You think it would turn a bunch of people into fans.
Maybe, or if it's just like, oh yeah, USA've won. Yeah, it's great, you know.
Yeah.
We're the best. It's like, you know, it's like, no, they did, I think in the last World Cup, they did really well. They did really well. I think they got to maybe the quarterfinals or something, you know, the men's team. I don't know, but the next one coming up now, which I think will be, 2022? When was the last one? 2018.
You've got a look on your face like you're asking me for confirmation.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when the next one is. Yeah, I don't know when the next World Cup is, actually. I think it's 2022.
We're big fans, you guys.
Because I think the last one was 2018.
Is it bandwagoning? Is it like...
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, I only watch the tournaments. Sorry.
But we're not doing it like...
Oh, yeah, you know, big soccer fans.
Or are we, you know?
I don't know. What are we, pretentious?
Because I feel quite into it. I don't feel like I'm forcing myself to watch it. You know, when I'm watching it, I'm quite into it. I'm like, oh yeah, get in there, you know, and like yelling and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we did that, didn't we?
You were getting all, like, excited,
you know, and no one knew that. It's not like we filmed ourselves watching the game, so I don't think it qualifies as bandwagoning, but, you know, maybe it is.
Well, the Rugby World Cup doesn't get as much, but soccer, you know, they've tried to, like, bring it up of it. I remember David Beckham's big crusade to bring soccer up as a major sport in the US, you know, and it kind of didn't really work, you know, because I think he was either playing for LA Galaxy or... Did
it? Because Austin now has a soccer team.
I mean, yeah, it's slowly getting there, I mean, you know, it's like, I think people are saying, hey, you know what, you can make a lot of money off of this. This is another sport you can make a lot of money off of, so... Mm-hmm. And also... You know, but of course, commercials and everything with the halftime thing. That's you know, you can't cut into the game halfway through.
Aren't there soccer teams during the Olympics? Isn't that or hasn't it been at some points in the past?
There are, but no one's watching them because it's like it's about the.
I think they do
tournaments.
I feel like they do.
No, there was. I remember the 2012 Olympics. There was. A Great Britain team.
Yeah.
But no, I don't remember it doing, you know, being like a major, like, thing,
yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I think it does. And so, you know, people get quite into America competing against these other countries during the Olympics. So I don't know why we don't
soccer,
participate
it's like
more
it's a fast-paced game, you know, and it's 90 minutes and then the result is decided. And it's like, you know, it's not like when you're watching, I don't know, baseball or something, and you're just kind of like, oh, they're doing this or whatever.
I love baseball. Get out.
It's like you know, like who's winning now, you know. And it's like, okay, you know, but it's like you know, if it's a good game, with soccer, it's like, you know, it's like, oh yeah,
it's really not that difficult to know who's winning a baseball game.
Well, no, it's like it's kind of it kind of is because you have to look at the score and everything, you know.
Well, you have to look at the score in a soccer game.
Well,
as
yeah,
well.
no, I mean, no, I'm just
okay. No one knows. The one thing I don't get about soccer is how come some games end 0-0? How can that be a thing? How can that be what?
Well, there you go, because no one scored a goal.
And it's just over?
You can't do that in baseball. That's what I mean.
No, somebody's got to score for the game to be over. There's got to be a winner.
It's a timed game.
Someone's got to make a run, you know?
It's 0-0. That's the end of it, you know?
Oh my God, no, I don't like that at all. So what? Then they've just tied.
Yeah, they've drawn.
Oh, no.
But that being said,
believe in that in America.
that being said, right, if it's a game that you cannot draw in, then it will go to stoppage time, and there'll be something called the golden goal.
Yeah.
Which is like the first team to score wins outright, you know?
Okay, yeah.
And if it's still a draw at the end of stoppage time, it goes to penalties.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's done that.
I mean, no, baseball games just go on and on and on.
They go on and on and on, and
it's
it's like, yeah, come on.
They keep
People have
going
to get up
in.
and go to sleep, you know?
They keep going into overtime. If it's a tie, like there has to be a winner. You can't just end it on a tie. Yeah, no. And they literally can run on for absolute ever. You know, so I do like that about soccer, but at the same time, yeah, no.
Because I think rugby games are 80 minutes.
We don't believe in ties in America.
And there's a half time, and then you get all your commercials in, you get the people going, oh, that first half, that was really good, and blah, 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 you know. And then back to the game. And then after the post-match analysis, which is,
I mean, I can do without all the analysis. As you said, I watched the game.
It's going, you know, like we watched Czech Republic versus the Netherlands, and there was a handball incident, and they spent like the whole of this half time, and I think that the post-match analysis talking about that.
Oh yeah.
How he should have been, because they can do that now. They can do that with refs and stuff. They can have like replays and decisions and stuff like that. And years ago, you know, in Euro '96, they couldn't. You know, it was like, okay, we got to have a video replay of this, and see that's. I gave him a yellow card, but it's a potential red card situation. You know, he might have to be sent off for this. So you know, this is what you. Oh yeah, he did it on purpose. So I'm coming back. Okay. You're off.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, no one can get wound up about a decision by the ref, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a whole completely different discussion because, in my opinion, that's part of the game, you know?
That's part of the fun. You know, the ref made a bad call.
Yeah. Part of the fun is getting pissed off at a bad call that the ref made.
I can tell you right now that if they had this technology back in 1986... English people would not be, would love it because of Maradona's infamous handball into the goal.
Yeah.
And he even said it afterwards. He goes,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, he actually scored a goal on his own pretty well, but then he got the second in with his hand. You know, he went up to head it or something, and he used his hand to kind of go, you know, and push it in.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, he clearly that was a clear handball, and the ref gave them the goal and everything, you know. And he said later, it was the hand of God.
Okay.
You know, the infamous hand of God incident. But that being replayed and stuff, and from all the camera angles, he would have been sunk, Maradona. You know? But so that created a rivalry between England and Argentina, and because of the Falklands War and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that kind of. There's like three main rivalries. It's usually England, Germany, England, Argentina, and there's another one too. England and Scotland. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, because England and Scotland, you know, the old enemy. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're done here.
Yeah.
I think we're all footballed out. I think the final whistle has been blown.
Yeah. I think we're good. Sorry if that was completely boring to you.
I'm sure a lot of you went to sleep during it, and I'm sorry.
We promise there.
But you can wake up now.
We promise that'll be it. So.
It's okay.
Yeah. If you stuck with us, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Sticking around.
Thank
you guys, as always, so much for your support. We appreciate it. Be sure to check us out on social media. We are at TButty, TEABUTTY on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we will talk to you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
They think it's all over. It is now.